James Corden, arsehole. I was wrong. Except I wasn't. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for joining me once again to receive unrivaled insight into the world of narcissism. Recently, we know about James Corden, arsehole, and his behaviour as a narcissist with regard to his tantrum that he exhibited at the restaurant Balthazar, which led to his behaviour being called out by the chef McNally. Of course, that then prompted an apparent grovelling apology, which of course is false contrition, but then, days afterwards, an interview with another newspaper demonstrated that actually he felt that he had nothing to apologise for and that he hadn't done anything wrong, which gave you an excellent insight into the mindset of this particularly blubbery fool, but also the way that this particular type of narcissist functions and operates, similar to many more, in just driving forward and believing that he is the centre of the universe and has nothing to apologise for. See parts passim for my excellent analysis of those events and also the reactions to it, but it rumbles on. Because now, courtesy of the New York Post and an article by Lee Brown, we're told James Corden, arsehole, finally admits he was wrong in Balthazar debacle. What is this? Major exclusive? Narcissist finally admits wrong? Is it genuine? Is it meaningful? Does this blow apart everything that you've known about narcissists? We'd better find out. Days after insisting he hadn't done anything wrong on any level, see parts passim, James Corden, arsehole, finally addressed his Balthazar shame. Understand this, James Corden, arsehole, experiences no shame. Meekly admitting he deeply regrets being so rude to restaurant staff. When you make a mistake, you've got to take responsibility, the late-night host told viewers on Monday, days after snipping that being dubbed a most abusive customer was beneath him. Now, he is a narcissist. He doesn't take responsibility. He has no sense of accountability. However, it's recognised that it would be appropriate for him to nullify the threats to control to create the appearance of admission of a mistake. You see, if he actually had any emotional empathy, it's highly unlikely that he would have behaved the way that he did to begin with. Now, some people, as a diminution of their emotional empathy caused by an external stressor, could misbehave, but most people wouldn't. First point. Second, having done so, when their emotional empathy floods back, i.e. when the external stressor has been removed, they will apologise for their behaviour, and more importantly, they won't repeat it, as we know from parts passim and particularly my H.G. roasts of James Corden, arsehole. You see time and time and time again his lack of accountability, the way that he operates with a sense of entitlement, his base manipulations, his lack of boundary recognition, his absence of emotional empathy. He just keeps on behaving this way. He has a reputation for it. Accordingly, this admission of a mistake isn't genuine. The fact that he says you've got to take responsibility isn't genuine. It's simply being done to nullify the threats to control posed by the continued criticism of his behaviours. When he saw that it wasn't anything wrong, that's exactly what he thought. He couldn't see that he had done anything wrong. Who? Me? The great James Corden, arsehole, centre of the universe, an ultra-funny man? I haven't done anything wrong. I've nothing to apologise for. But of course, certain pressures have come to bear, threatening his sense of control, which has caused his narcissism to alter and take a different track. But it's taken a number of days before this has happened, which again demonstrates the hollowness of these words. The article continues, his behaviour was unnecessary, ungracious, rude and wrong, he finally admitted, but it isn't a genuine admission. Corden, arsehole, addressed his own public shaming at the start of his first episode back on the Late Late Show, joking that he had come off a total switch-off with no phone, no TV, quipping, did I miss anything? Notice he makes it all about him and that he basically undermines all of this by going, did I miss anything? Is something really going on? Which shows you what he truly thinks about it, namely that it is utterly unimportant and not something that he has to take accountability for. He simply thinks, this really is a storm in a teacup, and I really don't understand why I'm having to do all of this, but I suppose I'd better. He then finally addressed famed Big Apple restaurateur Keith McAnally, banning him from the downtown hotspot over his abuse. With his parents, Malcolm and Margaret, he must be proud of him, watching on from the audience, the 44-year-old British comedian said that it was his dad who told him he needed to face up to the barrage of criticism and admit he was in the wrong. It may well be that Mr. Corden Sr. has indeed pointed out to James Corden arsehole that he's out of line. That, of course, would be a threat to control. And Corden arsehole would just dismiss that. But what he does is, in his show, he basically is saying this: I still don't think I have anything to apologise for, but my dad made me do it, so that's why I'm having to do it. It's not a genuine acceptance. It's basically, I haven't got it within myself to realise that I've done wrong. I haven't got it within myself to realise that I should apologise. It has to be pointed out to me by somebody else. And his narcissism goes with it because it recognises that as an appropriate way of nullifying these sustained threats to control. But there's yet more which demonstrates that all of this is an utter crock of shite. The article continues. He detailed how he'd gone to the Spring Street hot spot a few weeks ago for breakfast, calling Balthazar one of my absolute favourite restaurants. Well, it does serve food, doesn't it? Genuinely, I love it there, he said. If I lived in New York, I'd go every day. On the proviso they would let me in, he quipped. Supposed self-effacing humour, it's not. During their meal, his wife Julia was repeatedly brought the wrong order, despite warning that she has a serious food allergy, Corden, arsehole, insisted. Now we're hearing about the food allergy. That wasn't mentioned before, and it might be that she has, but this is now being utilised by way of triangulation as a convenient excuse for his behaviour. Blame shifting. Or it isn't true, and it's just been made up, again, for the purposes of blame shifting. Even if she has an allergy, and even if they brought the wrong order, that doesn't merit him losing his shit. But of course, in his world, it does. As her meal came wrong to the table the third time, in the heat of the moment, I made a sarcastic, rude comment about cooking it myself, he said, without revealing the actual wording. It is a comment I deeply regret, he said, insisting he has such respect for waitstaff. Once again, the words of the narcissist at odds with the behaviour. The team of that restaurant are so great. That's why I love it there, he said. No, you love it there because there's a load of food that you can scoff. The manager even brought them champagne to apologise for the error, he said, quipping, even for me it was too early to start drinking. Yes, make it all about you again, Corden, arsehole. He appeared emotional. It was an appearance, part of a pity play, as he insisted that because he didn't shout or scream or call anyone names or use derogatory language, he had assumed he hadn't done anything wrong. Of course, that's a revision of history and is downplaying his behaviour and once again is an absence of accountability. But the truth is, I made a rude comment and it was wrong. It was an unnecessary comment. It was ungracious to the server. Basically, he doesn't see that he's done anything wrong, but quite simply it's been pointed out to him that he has, and it's been suggested that the appropriate way forward would be to accept that. But he only does so in the way that I have described, which demonstrates wholesale that it isn't genuine, that he's paying lip service to it, and there is no accountability. Noting McNally's public shaming, Corden, arsehole, insisted he was also being attacked for a meal that I think was back in 2014 when I sent a dish back that had a hair in it. Strikes me as a revision of history. Despite earlier saying that he hadn't really read McNally's now viral comments, Corden, arsehole, now admitted that he'd in fact immediately obtained the restaurateur's phone number. Well, why would you do that if you hadn't read the comments? Lie. I called him straight away and I told him how upset I was. It's all about you, not the server that you've upset, or the other people that you've been horrible to, but you're upset, of course, that anybody was hurt by anything that I had done and anything that I had said. It's typical. Words of the narcissist which are along this. I'm sorry if you feel upset. Which is basically saying I don't accept that you should be. We had a good talk. I was happy that we got to clear the air, he said, joking that he assumed it would remain private. Which again is blame shifting, saying that he's blaming McNally for opening his gob. Instead, he flashed up some of the extreme hate messages he received online, pity play, making it about him. I get it. I totally understand. I understand everybody getting upset, and I accept everybody's opinion, he said. I also hate that I've ever upset anybody ever. What he really means is, Subconsciously, I hate that my control over everything has been affected by my behaviour. It was never my intention, it just wasn't, and I love that restaurant, I love the staff there. I hope I'm allowed in again one day, so when I'm back in New York, I can go there and apologise in person, which is something I will absolutely do, he said. That may well be future faking. It gives the appearance of contrition, but believe me, it absolutely isn't. Why? 1, it's coming from a narcissist, therefore it follows that it can't be. But 2, an examination of what he said shows also, because it's resplendent with triangulation, blame shifting, and demonstrating, of course, that it is not genuine accountability. So that is what he said, but is it that people are taken in by all of this? You, valuable listeners, are not. Why? Because you're accessing my material. But what about the people below the line? Are they accepting what James Corden, arsehole, has to say? Let's find out. Sir Tommy Damani, too little, too late, too choreographed. So that's a Glenn Williams. So James needed his dad to explain it to him, and now James understands. Age 44, maturity level 15. Go, James, go. Ralph Stars. There's a sincere apology, and then there's the I'm going to say something I don't really mean, so people shut up and get off my back. In my opinion, Corden, arsehole, is the latter. Petey. Corden, arsehole, after apologising, proceeded to the green room where he ate all the food and 2 waiting guests. Then Corden, arsehole, complained about finding a hair on the guest. Jerry. This is what happens when, after a video surfaces of you holding the smoking gun, after you insisted that it never happened. The pity march of the guilty. Douglas 26. You waited too long, smarmy. The apology, once it finally came, felt like the spin doctors were involved. Hacking dog. No soup for you. Right, Dave. Sorry, shouldn't have done it in the first place. True colours and you are history. Harco de Boer. Wow, something new for this generation. An apology that actually sounded like an apology. See, fathers do know best. There have been many times that I have had younger people say to me, I am sorry you were offended by what I just said to you. That is not an apology, and in every case I call them out for that rude remark. When I do wrong, I apologise. While I do not like to apologise, and it's difficult especially if you don't like the person in the first place, that apology served its purpose by making me humble and not repeating the mistake again. I'm glad he saw that light that his father shined on him. Slightly gives him the benefit of the doubt there, I should imagine. Drumhead 50. I can't pay my mortgage. Not really concerned about this, demonstrating that the fact that this is all minor compared to that person's problems. Yakov. Always thought he was gay. Dezima. The man has no manners and has never learned to treat other people with politeness. Simple as that. Steve Bellagio. When you're very short and fat, there's not much left but arrogance. Doesn't look like they're accepting it from you, James Corden, arsehole, and neither am I, because I know that you're a narcissist, and I know that this was a complete episode of false contrition, a lack of accountability, and a pity play. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.